The number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts. I'm your host, Patrick Cristiano, the publisher of TheaterLife.com, a website for theater buffs in New York City and the Hamptons. We cover Broadway and off-Broadway theater, as well as theater in the Hamptons and social events in New York City and in the Hamptons as well. So we're coming to you from the LTV studio in Wainscott, and I have a special guest, the artistic director of Bay Street, Scott Schwartz.
Hi there.
Hey, Scott, thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure. Great to be here.
I'm really thrilled to have you. You're in your 5th season now, is there 6th season?
This is my 5th year as artistic director at Bay Street and having a great time.
So you're still on that run where you can do no wrong.
I guess so. Yes, I heard once an artistic director said that for 5 years you can do no wrong, so I have this one more year to do no wrong.
Unless you have a better process, right?
Hey, there you go. There you go. That's what I'll shoot for.
So anyway, you just had a new play, Fellow Travelers, that closed, and it was, you told me, was the biggest success of a new play.
I believe it was
Bay Street?
I believe it was the top-selling new play in Bay Street history. It was a new play by Jack Canfora, directed by Michael Wilson, about the relationship between Arthur Miller and Elia Kazan, and also both of their relationship with Marilyn Monroe. And the show was just a smash hit for us.
It was great. I loved it. It was very provocative.
Thank you. Yes, well, we were really proud of it, and it raised very interesting questions about sort of our responsibility to ourselves as opposed to our responsibility to our community and our society. Mm-hmm. And we were just so proud of the whole thing. And yes, I mean, it was really a huge hit with audience and critics alike.
Yeah, the word on the street was very positive as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I heard that, and we were just delighted that it was a great way to kick off this season.
And you may even get to take it further?
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, there are producers who were involved in the project, commercial producers that we partnered with, and I know they were very encouraged by the success the play had at Bay Street, so we'll see what happens.
Well, congratulations. But now you have something in previews tonight, Frost Nixon, which is opening on
June 30th.
June 30th, thank you. But it started previews tonight.
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about it?
I'm thrilled. We're also extremely excited about this play. Our whole season this year is about giants in the political world and also the artistic world, and this one continues that trend by being about, of course, Richard Nixon and David Frost and the famous interviews that Frost did with Nixon 3 years after Nixon resigned from office. And it's played by Peter Morgan. He wrote the wonderful TV series, The Crown. He created that series.
Yes,
he wrote the movie The Queen. He has many other great successes under his belt, and he's really an expert at taking well-known, famous, real people and putting them on stage or on screen and finding the depth and the humanity underneath the image that we know, and that's exactly what he's done with Frost Nixon. The play is thrilling, it's fun, it's energetic. It's a little like All the President's Men or one of those kinds of things where you're really kind of wondering what's going to happen next and what's Frost going to get Nixon to admit to or not, and what is Nixon going to say or not. So it's a bit of a political thriller, I guess. It stars Harris Yulin.
And Frost was a really determined reporter.
He was a very determined reporter. And one of the things I like is he was British. And so we've been kind of joking that it's like the American Revolution all over again because it's an American president versus a British journalist. And the other thing that Peter Morgan is exploring in the play is how television and politics interact and sort of the relationship of the media and politics, which I think couldn't be more timely, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. And I mean, Morgan is quite critical of the media and of sort of the role television takes in our society and the oversimplification of everything that television tends to require. But it's just it's a really fascinating, fun play. You know, it played on Broadway.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, how long ago was it?
It was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
It was the original Broadway production. There was, of course, a movie as well.
And who did it? Do you remember?
It was Frank Langella, played
and didn't
Nixon.
he win a Tony Award for it?
He did. And Martin Sheen, the wonderful actor, it was one of his breakout roles, played Frost.
Yeah, I remember Frank Langella. He was phenomenal.
He was amazing in it. And I will say that I feel that the play feels almost even more timely now, given the issues it raises and the questions it raises. But one of the things I love about the play is that it's very nuanced, and it looks at both Nixon and Frost in great depth and with great humanity. You know, it doesn't really take sides.
So we see their humanness.
You see their humanness. It is not an anti-Nixon play. If anything, perhaps it's more critical of the media, at least, if not Frost himself. But I think it takes a very even-handed approach to this story. And the other thing that people don't know about the play is it's a big production. You know, you hear Frost Nixon and you kind of think, oh, okay, it's going to be these two guys doing interviews, because that's sort of about how the interviews came to be. But it's the whole run-up to the interviews. It's the process of creating the interviews. It's a 10-person cast. It's a multimedia production. We have 15 gigantic screens as part of the set.
Oh, and, you know, we have some photos. Let's show
let's
some
look
of,
at them, yeah.
Let's look at some of these photos, and you could tell us a little more about what's happening in each one of them.
Sure.
So here we have, I guess this is the whole cast.
I think it's almost the entire cast. But what you don't realize, of course, when a TV show is being shot, is often there are tons of other people in the room, but the camera just doesn't show it. So this is one of the scenes where one of the interviews is happening. It was a series of interviews that Frost did with Nixon. And you see Nixon's chief of staff, you see the people who are working with and supporting Frost, you see the cameras, you see the cameraman, the director of the show. So you can see here what a large production it is.
Yeah, and this is right on the set at Bay Street.
This is the production at Bay Street. You will see this moment on stage.
Looks great. Let's see what else we have here.
Oh, this shot is of another character, Jim Reston, who's a very important character in the show, and again is a real person based on a real life person, and he's talking about sort of what happened after the interviews, and you see in the background on all of these screens Nixon's face.
That's dynamite. That's terrific. The background is fabulous.
It's a very inventive production. We're really excited about it, and I think it's maybe the highest tech thing we've done at Bay Street in my time there, at
But
least.
you know, it's one of the things you've been doing ever since you've been doing the productions. They all are very slick. They're very polished. The staging is just, everything that you've done has been wonderful.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that, but we certainly try. And we have a wonderful director. Her name is Sarna Lapine. She directed the hit revival of Sunday in the Park with George that was on Broadway a year or so ago, and we're very pleased to have her with us. Well, this is a good example. Daniel Jarrell plays David Frost. Danny has been...
Which one is he?
He's the furthest on the left there.
Okay.
And Danny has been at Bay Street many times. I think this is his 8th show with us. He's both acted in and directed shows for us. He's a wonderful British actor. He's been on the BBC, in many, many plays and movies. So this is a shot of Danny and a character named Bert, as they're talking about the run-up to the interviews. And again, you see how sort of big and expansive the production is.
Wow.
So a lot of the show isn't just the interviews themselves, it's how they came to be, and the negotiations, and the politics that went into it, and the cajoling, and all of the complex ways in which the sausage was made. You know,
and everybody's expectations too.
Exactly
And
right.
how they don't work out quite.
This is very
For Mr.
true.
Nixon, right?
Well, kind of for both of them, actually. And it has a bit of an unexpected end, I think.
I remember it, but not as clear. Now this is...
Well, that's Harris
Yes.
Yulin, the great actor. You know, he's one of the great actors of his generation, and audiences will know him from things like Ozark and Billions on TV, but he was in Bay Street's production of Hedda Gabler that transferred to Broadway many, many years ago. He's also directed for Bay Street. He happens to be an East End native. He lives out here, and we feel so lucky that he's rejoining Bay Street for this production, and that's a shot of him when he's giving a speech at one point in the show.
And then which character does he play?
Oh, Nixon.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yes, he is our Nixon.
I didn't read the press release, I guess.
And he does quite an amazing take on Nixon. You know, it's one of those performances where he completely disappears into the role, and he kind of looks like Nixon, but the spirit is so true that you just completely almost forget what the real Nixon looked like because you're just so connected to what Harris is doing.
Oh, I can't wait.
I hope you feel that way.
Yeah, no, I think we're seeing it Saturday.
Yeah.
We're coming to opening, I believe.
Oh, this is a shot, you know, this is again during the period where they're first meeting and negotiating whether or not the interviews are going to happen and how that will happen. This is at Nixon's house in California. It's in Yorba Linda, California. And Nixon is taking Frost and his new girlfriend and also some of his team on a walk around the property, and they're subtly figuring each other out.
And you're getting all these are all the video images in the background?
The background is, again, all the video.
It's fabulous.
It's quite
It looks
beautiful.
like he's on the ocean, is that what it is?
Yeah, well, his house did have this incredible view of
Wow.
the ocean. It was called it was named Casa Pacifica, and it was a really beautiful location. And it was kind of the California White House when he was the president. He spent quite a lot of time out there. Oh, I love this moment in the show. It's actually right at the top of the play, and it's when Nixon is giving his resignation speech. And so you get to see it from his perspective, and he's sort of watching himself on these screens as he resigns the presidency. It's a very powerful moment in the play.
I could see where that would be.
Oh, this is a shot from one of the interviews, and again shows you the level of technology. You can see that's not even all the screens we have, but 12 different screens showing Nixon's face live while he's being interviewed. One of the cool things we get to do is we use live camera work in the show, and so there are camera people who are part of the cast, and they're filming what's going on as it's happening, and you see it projected on the screens.
Wow, how cool.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So you kind of really get to see a TV show being made also. So that's part of the fun of the show.
You get a whole education in how to negotiate too.
Well, seriously. Nixon was nothing if not a great negotiator. Well, Lincoln was a good negotiator as well.
So it opens on Friday. You can get tickets at baystreet.org and runs until when?
It runs all the way to July 22nd. So 4 weeks. 4 weeks.
4 weeks. So baystreet.org for Frost Nixon, which is open. It's in previews now, so you can. And is it today? Is this even?
Literally tonight is the first
but
preview.
Then we won't be up early enough for them to get the pay.
That's true. But anytime until July 22nd, there are performances.
So now you're going to direct something yourself this season. Confessions of a Mormon Boy.
Yeah. So this is a special, separate event at Bay Street, a little bit different than what we normally do. For 1 week, at the end of the run of Frost Nixon, actually in rep with Frost Nixon, there's a one-man show called Confessions of a Mormon Boy, which I'll be directing, and it'll only play 5 performances. And what happens is Frost Nixon plays a performance, and then we change the set around real fast, and then Confessions of a Mormon Boy plays a performance, and then we change it back. So both plays are running over the course of that week of July 17 through 22. I think we may have 12 main stage performances that week between the two shows.
No, you're going to be busy.
It's going to be very busy. But this is a wonderful play that I'm going to be directing off-Broadway next season. And it's part 1 of a 3-part trilogy of plays written and performed by a man named Stephen Fales. It's the story of his life. And he is Mormon, and he is also gay. And Confessions of a Mormon Boy concerns his sort of 20s and 30s when he was resisting his own homosexuality. He went through, homosexual reparative therapy. It was, he really did everything he could in his mind to sort of resist who he really was. He got married to a woman he really loved, by the way. He had 2 kids, but he was eventually excommunicated from the church. He moved to New York. He got divorced. And when he moved to New York, some really dark things happened to him, and he eventually...
And that's all in the play.
That's all in the play. I don't want to give too much away,
yeah.
but it's a fascinating journey about a man's coming to terms with who he is and his religious faith and sort of the wild ride that he goes on. And it's actually really entertaining too. You know, he's very funny and very charming as a performer. So there's quite a bit of humor in the play.
Self-deprecating?
Definitely self-deprecating, and it's quite dark and pretty intense. I mean, I would say it's R-rated, so it's definitely an adults. It's a show for adults.
And how long a piece is it?
It runs about 90 minutes. You know, it's a one act. Actually, Frost Nixon, by the way, is also one act. It's a long one act, but yeah, Confessions of a Mormon Boy is 90 minutes, and we will be doing 5 performances.
July 17th through the 27th?
22nd.
17th through the 22nd.
And the only other thing to know is because it's part of this trilogy that we're going to be doing in New York next season, we're going to do readings of the other 2 plays. One will be on Sunday night, July 22nd, and that play is the prequel to Confessions of a Mormon Boy. It's called Mission Statement. And Mission Statement is about when he was a missionary and as a teenager struggling with these issues. And also, it's a bit of an expose of the Mormon Church. And then the third play, which follows the events of Confessions of a Mormon Boy, is about basically a court battle that he and his wife had over custody of their children. And we're going to do a reading of that on Monday the 23rd. So I'm very excited about this, and I'm so happy to be able to give the audience at Bay Street this chance to see a whole nother show and to get a sneak peek at something that's going to be playing in New York next season.
I look forward to seeing it. Yep. Now we have the other thing. You have the gala coming up, which is going to be your last gala on the wharf.
It is our last gala on the wharf, but it will not be our last gala. We will certainly be having one next year and every year beyond that.
So July 7th is the date for the gala. So to get your tickets now, and it's the golden age of Broadway?
Yes, well, it's going to be an extraordinary event. Because it's our last year on the wharf, we wanted to make it the most amazing party ever. It's a celebration of the golden age of Broadway musicals. Sort of, the idea being that it's our last year on the wharf. We're remembering back to the golden times we've had on the wharf. We're remembering the golden age of Broadway. So we're doing a big concert as part of the gala, which will be in the theater. We have so many amazing stars. Jane Lynch, the brilliant comedian, is going to be our MC. She's also going to sing a song. We have Richard Kind returning. He's been with us many times. He'll be our celebrity auctioneer, and he'll also be singing a song. But we have Robert Fairchild, who was the star of An American in Paris and was the former lead dancer at New York City Ballet, is performing. We have a number from On the Town, which was Bernstein's show, which was part of the Golden Age, which is choreographed by Josh Bergasse, who choreographed the hit revival of On the Town on Broadway. He was nominated for a Tony, and he's recreating his choreography for the song New York, New York. We have just so many great performers. Howard McGillen, the brilliant performer who's been in a bunch of stuff at Bay Street, but is a huge Broadway star. He's the longest running Phantom in Phantom of the Opera ever, and he's going to be singing a couple of songs for us. And then we have a huge dinner under the tent on the wharf. Well, he has a place in East Hampton, actually, and I don't know if he's out right now, but he'll be with us. He'll be with us for the gala, and we have this big party under the tent on the wharf. We have auctions. We have surprises. It's going to be an amazing event not to be missed, and it is the last gala ever on the wharf.
It's sad to see it leave the wharf. I'm glad you guys, have had all this opportunity to do it there. It's kind of sad to see it, but everything must change.
For everything there's a season.
And like we were talking earlier, though, because when you run into a limitation, you can't do it any there. You'll find something even better.
Well, exactly right. And the reason it's changing is the town of Sag Harbor actually now owns the wharf, and they are going to do a big renovation on the wharf, and as a result of that, they're not going to have any big events on the wharf anymore. I mean, there'll be little things, but nothing that involves setting up huge tents and drilling into the the wharf itself, which is what we do every year. So they've said that they're closing the wharf for the future to anyone for big events like this. But we're going to find another location. I already have some pretty cool ideas for next year. It'll be a fabulous party wherever we end up next year. But this year, I think, is really not to be missed because it is the last one. And it's one of the kind of signature events out here in the Hamptons in the summer, I think. Everybody should come check it out.
It's one of the top 2 or 3 events that I think are the most fun of the whole evening.
I certainly agree.
Evening of the whole summer.
A lot of people say that they think it's one of the most fun galas or parties of the whole summer.
Yeah, it's very real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you brought a little video that Tracy Mitchell, the executive director of Bay Street, did that kind of tells us a little bit about Bay Street and what you guys are doing.
Yes, well, I'm thrilled to get to share this with you. This is a video we've created, and again, as you said, Tracy Mitchell, the executive director, my partner in running Bay Street, narrates it, and I'm very glad to share it with your viewers.
Can we show the video about Bay Street?
The Bay Street Theater and Sag Harbor Center for the Arts is a professional year-round regional theater. We are a not-for-profit organization, and we specialize in producing new works as well as putting our own intimate spin on the classics and contemporary works. We host music, comedy, improv all year long. We even house one of the last remaining puppet theaters in the country called the Goat on a Boat Puppet Theater. Our educational program goes on all year. We have classes and workshops for teens, camps for kids. We also have a program that we do in the fall where we produce full production for kids from all across Long Island for free. I think we were selected as a finalist for the Arts and Culture Award because we produce not only professional work that goes on to Broadway and to other regional theaters, but it allows us to give voice to the next generation. In addition, we are able to serve our local community as the only cultural center for our little village and allow them to have their voice and their needs met. And sometimes the arts can be a very healing place for many people.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yes, didn't she do great? I love that video.
Yes, it's lovely. Kind of touches on all the little things that you do.
Well, and I think the thing that this video points out is while I'm here talking about all the amazing things we do in the summer and all the main stage productions we do and the huge events that make us one of the Center for the Arts in the East End in the summer, we are here year round and we are serving the community and interacting with the community and working with the community all year round. We have events basically every weekend of the year. We partner with community groups and other organizations who come in and use our space to work on whatever they need. You know, we're really a center for the arts, really the center for the arts in Sag Harbor all year round.
But you also have some extraordinary programs for the children, too.
We do. We have a lot of education programs. I will say this summer, we have a ton of camps for kids and then workshops and master classes for teens. So for teens who want to, you know, particularly be getting into theater or have a particular interest, we have all of these opportunities from musical theater, acting, singing, dancing, to directing. I'm teaching a directing workshop for teens this year. We have a class in making a monologue where teens can, you know, create their own monologue about their experiences or whatever they want and then perform it. And we have amazing camps for kids that are using theater techniques and all sorts of different performance techniques to have a great time for a week. And those also happen multiple times over the course of the year as well.
So if someone wants to find out about all the programs, they go to baystreet.org.
Baystreet.org.
Everything will be there. What would they look under? Is there
Education. There's a section that says education, and that will have all of the information about all of our camps.
Baystreet.org under education if you want to learn about these programs for the children. They sound really fantastic.
Yeah, and actually they are starting right at the beginning of July. The summer camps, at least, and workshops start at the beginning of July and run all summer. So there, I know, are some slots still available. So a lot of them are filling up fast.
So how many students in each workshop? Is it limited, or do you just?
It is limited. We generally try to keep it to no more than 12 to 15 because we want the students to get a lot of personal attention. Occasionally, for some of the more popular classes, it can get up to 20 or so. But even so, you're still talking about only 20 kids, you know, learning from a great New York professional.
And then, you know, besides the educational things, you're doing these comedy nights.
Yes, well, we have comedy nights. We've actually done 2 of the 3 already.
But they're not just comedy. You have performance. What is there's comedy and
Well, there's 2 things. We have something we call our comedy club, and our comedy club is 3 Saturdays over the course of the summer. This summer, we've done 2 already. We had Paula Poundstone came, and Colin Quinn just performed this past Saturday, and we have one more on July 23rd, which is the wonderful comedian Bobby Collins is coming. So that's at 8 p.m. on Saturday night, the 23rd. But we also have our Music Mondays
That's
series.
what I was getting them mixed up with.
Yes, and Music Mondays, last year was the first year we did it. It was so successful, we decided we definitely needed to bring it back. And every Monday night in July and August, we have a musical concert performance from all sorts of different amazing people. This summer, we start with Jackie Hoffman,
She's
the brilliant comedian and singer.
fabulous.
You know, she was in that TV show Feud, Betty and Joan, but you know, the original Hairspray on Broadway, Addams Family on Broadway, and that's going to be wonderful. Norm Lewis is doing a concert. Lucy Arnaz is doing her concert. When we go on, Isaac Mizrahi is
wow.
coming and doing
What's
a
he
concert.
gonna-
Isn't that amazing?
Does he perform? I didn't know what
He
did.
does. He performs a lot, and he's actually a really good singer. So he's doing a show for us. Charles Bush
I
is
love
doing
Charles
a show
Bush.
for us. He's been at Bay Street before. Obviously, he's a brilliant writer, but he's a brilliant performer. And we finish with 2 performers who are great younger Broadway stars. Bobby Conte Thornton, who
terrific.
is in A Bronx Tale on
I
Broadway.
saw it. It was fabulous.
He's amazing, and he was our Freddie Eynsford Hill in
he was-
My Fair Lady.
he was fabulous.
I bet he'll probably do that song on the
He
street where
better,
you live.
because I don't think anybody can do it as good as him.
And Mandy Gonzalez, who folks may know from Wicked and from Hamilton, is going to be doing her show as well.
Well, we're almost out of time. Is 10 seconds. Is there anything else you want to say about Bay Street?
No, just that it's a great place to be in the summer and a great place to be all year round. And I hope all your viewers will come to see things many times with us.
It's baystreet.org.